What do you know about force?
Well, I know that when something's moving, a force has to stop it or else it'll just keep moving.
Oh, that's true. Okay. So what can you tell me about motion then?
An object stays in motion unless something stops it.
Oh wow. Okay, great. What do you know about when two things hit each other? What would happen?
Well, it matters on the object. If like two people hit each other, then they won't bounce away. Like if two balls hit each other, they would probably just walk away and then just keep going.
Okay. Here, Allie is referring to the fact that what happens after a collision between two things depends on how much mass each object has, and how fast it is going when it enters the collision. Momentum can be thought of as mass in motion. This clearly indicates that Allie, being in 4th grade, has prior knowledge of the 4th grade STEM content standards that discuss outcomes concerning the changes in energy that occur when objects collide.
Bounce off each other.
Okay. What about energy? What can you tell me about energy?
Well, I know that energy takes up a lot of what people do. Like when they're running, it uses a lot of their energy.
Okay.
What do you think is going to happen when they hit?
I think they're gonna bounce back.
And why do you think that?
Well, because since they're in motion and they hit each other, then they can't just stop and fall on the ground. They will bounce back.
While she does not explicitly discuss it, her hypothesis touches on the law of conservation of momentum, which states that momentum may be transferred from one object to another, but the total momentum must stay the same. She understands that the momentum will not be lost in the collision, it will be transferred by moving the balls in the opposite directions.
Yes, they do have energy because if no one touches it and it does nothing, then nothing's happening. It'll just stay still.
That's true. Interesting.
She also has the basic understanding of potential energy without knowing the concept. Potential energy can also be thought of as stored energy, energy that an object has as an inherent characteristic but is not in use.
Well, today I want to ask you if you know anything about force. Can you tell me anything you know about force?
Well, there's the gravity force, and then there are like the forces where it pushes. Like, I know one of the reasons we wear a seatbelt is because it helps prevent force. Because if a car is moving and then it just stops, the person in the car, if it doesn't have something to hold it back, normally keeps moving forward.
Alex is pulling on prior knowledge and experiences to answer the questions we have for her.
Something's moving. What's going to happen to it if it hits something else?
If something's moving and then it hits something else, that object will normally stop unless it's something very light. Then the object will keep moving and the thing that was trying to stop it moves along with it.
Okay. And like if you were to throw these two balls against each other, what would happen to the energy of the balls?
They would go backward.
They would go backwards?
Because if they hit each other, normally if you hit something and you're going fast, it either pushes backwards or it just stays in the same place and goes backwards a little. But most of the time with something like balls, it bounces back off it.
Oh, okay. So if I were to throw a ball at this wall, the wall would push it back?
Yeah.
So would the force of the wall be stopping the energy of the ball, or would the energy keep going?
The energy would keep going, just in a different direction.
In a different direction. Okay, well, we're going to throw these two balls against each other. Do you have a hypothesis for what would happen when we throw them against each other?
I have a feeling either one or both are going to move different directions than they started.
Okay, well, let's...
While she does not use the more advanced terminology, she understands the concepts of elastic and inelastic collisions. In an elastic collision, not only is momentum conserved, but there is also no loss of kinetic energy. An example of this would be a bouncy ball that bounces back when it hits something. An inelastic collision is one in which part of the kinetic energy is changed to some other form of energy in the collision. Momentum is conserved, but the total kinetic energy of the system is not conserved. A drop ball of clay, for example, demonstrates this by not bouncing but flattening on the ground.
So what can you tell us about force?
Like whenever you hit a ball, it either goes like force is pretty much where you hit things and they like go really fast or they just go slow, and then you, like if you're playing a game and you hit the ball, that's force because you're hitting it and it's going somewhere.
Yeah? So what do you know about motion? Things moving.
Like motion is pretty much where things like move and they go somewhere.
Things move. So if I threw this ball at that ball, and they were both moving towards each other at the same time.
Cruz understands that you need force to make things move. He also drew upon his prior experience with playing ball games to know that balls will move when they're thrown at each other. He also related our energy question to the human body and breathing because that was the knowledge that he had on the subject. His hypothesis was not exact, but he thought that they would either move in different directions or the same direction.
Go like that.
Like
And
that.
if you throw it harder, then you can like go like this.
A lot
and
of
it would
energy.
throw. Yeah.
Does the ball have energy?
Or do we have to give it energy?
I think we have to give it energy because whenever we hit it, it goes fast.
To conclude, it was apparent that Allie and Alex had a better grasp on the subject than Cruz did. This is to be expected considering Allie and Alex are in the 4th grade while Cruz is in 3rd. Allie and Alex, while they did not use expert vocabulary, both understood the basics of the law of conservation of momentum and how it relates to the different types of collisions. While Cruz understood the more force you put on something, the faster it will move, and that motion has direction, it is clear that Allie and Alex had more experience in the classroom learning about collisions, force, and motion. All of the students required probing questions to get the answers that we were looking for. For example, when I asked Alex what would happen if these two balls hit each other, she was then able to visualize and use prior knowledge about collisions in terms of balls. She then really explains what we wanted to hear, which is that energy will keep going but in different directions.
The scientific definition of a collision is any event where two or more moving objects exert forces on each other for a short period of time. This was an elastic collision, which means that momentum and kinetic energy is conserved. In critiquing our interviews, we think that we should have asked more questions and related the topic to speed more. However, they did have a good grasp on motion and how it relates to collisions.